it's work in progress. Yes. We'll get there very soon. Yeah, are you convinced by all these assurances? And even what the Bank of Ghana says, that we are doing ABCD, we are taking over the large payment by these big businesses, the commercial banks and all the rest. We are trying to clamp down activities of speculators and all the rest. And this is the monetary bit. Government is doing their fiscal bit. About more than $2.4 billion should come in before the end of this year. Satisfied with these interim measures that government and the Bank of Ghana put on the table?
George, the grassroots of our problems are our imports. That's why we're chasing the dollars to go and pay for the imports. If we have import substitution products here comparable to what the imports are, then the Ghanaian will be comfortable to purchase that and use that. That is one of the things that we have never been able to do in our environment, because everybody wants to wear the jacket that you and I are wearing, because you know, and everybody wants to eat in the restaurants and do the sausages and all. But import substitution locally, if the private sector doesn't have the resources, so government can flow the resources at affordable pricing for private sector to manufacture and grow these domestic import substitution products locally. Let me give an example. Take one, poultry. How are eggs, the cost of eggs today? They're going sky high. The eggs are the ones that create the layers and the feed that we do, the millet and the maize and others, provide the resources. The government borrowed, I think, 420-something million US dollars from Africa Development Bank. Please give that to the private sector. Let's do a value chain approach in poultry. Let everybody in poultry come together. Who is going to do the eggs? Who is going to do the layers? Who is going to do the feed, the correct feed? And then you have a band of the doctors going around from one to the other, feeling for the sick chicken, and then the people that do the processing. This is a value chain approach. You don't leave every 40 poultry farmer to do their own from A to Z, and that's why they're failing. We know we're spending over 300 million a year for foreign imports. And we can do, and the taste buds of Ghanaians, if you allow, prefer the local chicken. And if they prefer the local chicken, let's grow that to their level. So you have Afram plains, grow the millet, the maize, the sorghum, and everything. And then the players that can do the good quality feed, let them do that. And let a bunch of, as I said, the doctors roam around and care for the sick chicken and all. If we do those kind of things, that's the practical things that the private sector can do. And the resources coming from where? From government that they borrowed. Now the government borrows, and we don't know where the money goes. We don't know where the money goes.
That's interesting enough.
Very interesting.
The private sector says, because they said they are paying you contractors, service providers, you are being paid.
I don't know who contractors. As I said,
service providers who are part of the federation.
One element is a chicken, what we call the chicken exchange. The chicken exchange is, let's grow from the eggs to the layers, to the broilers, to the doctors, to the processors. We can do. We did a research some years back with one of the institutions that if we spend $200 million a year, we will cut the chicken chase within 3 years. Have we done that? And this was about 11, 12 years ago. So we still don't know where these monies go. We borrow, and we say we're going to utilize it for the private sector development of these avenues. Where do they go? I don't know. And that is where we would love some answers, because unless we do that, we always be chasing shadows with the imports coming in. And the imports is what is affecting us badly more than anything.
Now, holding your proposals on the CD constant, some economics here, in terms of the variable of these proposals that government has put on the table, both on the fiscal side and the monetary side, private sector, are you convinced about the assurances from government and the Bank of Ghana that, listen, we are seeing the worst when it comes to the currency, at least our best could be stability going forward?
You see, you're talking about monetary policy, you're talking about stabilization of fiscal policy. We talk about practicality of action.
Not convinced, then I get from you. You're not convinced by these measures.
We're not convinced by
these measures. The government claims that it's going to stabilize the
practicality
currency
of the thing, because all these measures are in place and the city is gyrating every which ways. So what is left? The practicality of action that will allow people to feel, to know, to get their feet and to get their feel and to get the results for themselves. So we have to work together to make sure that the private sector that carry the burden of employment, the burden of taxes, would be able to yield enough returns for themselves, much more to pay taxes and carry the rest of the population with us.
The bit about, and again, I'll come back to the current environment and how some of your members are surviving, because there are other multinationals who are also members of the Federation who are looking at realigning their business and all the rest. How bad is that situation where some are saying that because of the current environment, you're looking at realigning our operations and relocating and all the rest? How bad is the situation, Nana?
Let me re-emphasize the tax element of these things. Yeah. Every time you hear government says, oh, we've been successful in attracting FDIs. What does FDI mean? Foreign direct investments.
Yeah.
Yes. What did they dangle in front of the foreign direct investors? Tax exemptions. Now, when you give tax exemptions to the big players that are coming in, because you want to just tell the voice that you have attracted these guys to come and work here, what did they leave in return? They take the government money. The tax exemption is government money. Monies they should have paid to government to prosecute its agenda, to invest in various angles for private sector and Ghanaians. They said, we're forgiving that to you if you relocate to Ghana. You forgive that. We said, okay, if you want to attract them, come to some terms. The terms meaning, if we give you the tax exemption of one city, take 25% of the one city in the environment, your catchment operational areas, to invest in that areas. Take another 25% and work with the domestic private sector involved in that sector. And then take another 25% with another sector or private sector unrelated to your sector. So that means 75% of the 100 that we're forgiving you, you're reinvesting in Ghana. And then the 25% add it to what you want and return it home. No, it doesn't happen that way. The 100% goes with them, and that is what is feeding the exchange gyrations, because they don't use cedi for their currency. Their tax returns that they're yielding to return home is in foreign exchange, and that foreign exchange is coming from the back of the private sector. So that type of tax exemption that we said, good, you want to attract them to come, let them come. But work in this area, we will all grow together.
You think it's been favored to the...
When the guy has tax exemptions of one cedi, 100%, and the domestic private sector is paying, the carriers even pay per diems per day to get their ticket to carry the load in the market. The carriers, they pay. So how do you grant tax exemptions to the big players?
There is currently some exemptions before Parliament for some businesses, both local and external. What is your advice to the Finance Committee? What is your advice to Parliament in approving these tax exemptions?
We have met with them some time before, and we always talking to Parliament that, look, tax exemption is an avenue you can use to attract. But the distribution of the tax exemption is that they do not take the 100% of tax exemptions away out of this country, but let them utilize that in improving our lot. As I said, the 25, 25, 25, 75%, let them take the other 25% out of our system to go home because they came to relocate here. But if you give them 100%, why did they come here? They came to repass, and they yielding the results and laughing all the way to the bank to their homes.
Your advice is that, listen, be strategic in this approvals that you want to give to these companies.
You use the keyword strategic. That's the keyword of government. We bring in strategic FDIs in, strategic, foreign direct investors. They come in to create jobs and You never hear government say create wealth. Private sector is wealth creation. Our mantra is not jobs creation. We create jobs because we want more money. And if more money, you need more hands to grow. And if private sector is growing, more jobs are created. It's incidental to wealth creation.
You're not growing now, so it means